I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Right now, even as you rest, your subconscious mind is already working, quietly untangling the threads of your day, filing away memories you didn't even know you kept, and solving problems your waking mind never had the stillness to reach. You'll discover what your sleeping brain is actually doing in those quiet hours, and understand why the answers you've been searching for often arrive in the morning, fully formed, like gifts left while you slept. Welcome to Sleepy Science Facts. Wherever you are right now, perhaps feeling the soft weight of the blanket across your shoulders, or noticing the quiet darkness behind your closed eyes, allow yourself to settle into this moment completely. We'll journey through 100 psychology facts about the subconscious mind and sleep. From the hidden filing systems that organize your memories while you dream, to the deep emotional repairs happening beneath your awareness, to the quiet voice that whispers solutions when morning light finally comes. This thoughtful journey through the sleeping mind builds bridges between searching minds. A gentle like, subscribe, or quiet share creates a pathway for more tired souls to find their way here, and brings us closer to protecting this sanctuary for every restless mind that needs it tonight. One peaceful night, one sleepy soul at a time. Your healing journey inspires ours. Let yourself settle completely here. Feel your jaw unclench, your breath deepen naturally. You can let these thoughts drift past without holding them. Sense that soothing heaviness enveloping you, like your consciousness slowly dimming its brightness. Thoughts dissolving into the peaceful fog of approaching sleep, safe and undisturbed. There is nothing you need to remember tonight. Nothing you need to solve. Your subconscious already knows the way. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. You're floating where memories rest safely in gentle darkness. Let your mind merge with infinite peace. And now we begin. Your subconscious mind never truly sleeps. While your conscious awareness fades each night into rest, a vast network of neural activity continues beneath the surface. Sleep is not the absence of mental life. It is a different kind of mental life entirely. Researchers studying brain activity during sleep have consistently found that the brain, in many ways, works harder during certain sleep stages than it does during quiet wakefulness. The subconscious uses this time not to pause, but to process, sorting, organizing, repairing, and solving. Everything your waking mind gathered throughout the day is now being tended to in the silence. There is something quietly beautiful in the idea that your mind is never truly idle. Even now, rest and work are not opposites. Sleep is divided into distinct stages, each serving a different purpose for the subconscious. There are two primary categories of sleep: non-REM sleep, which includes 3 stages of progressively deeper rest, and REM sleep, rapid eye movement, where the most vivid dreaming and much of the emotional processing occurs. A typical night cycles through these stages 4 to 6 times. Each cycle lasts roughly 90 minutes, and within each cycle, the subconscious is performing a completely different kind of work. From physical repair in the deepest non-REM stages, to emotional and narrative processing in REM. Your sleeping mind is not one thing. It is many things, carefully sequenced, one after another, through the night. The subconscious uses slow-wave sleep to consolidate facts and skills you learned that day. During the deepest stage of non-REM sleep, sometimes called slow-wave sleep or deep sleep, the brain replays the neural patterns activated during learning. This process, known as memory consolidation, strengthens the connections between neurons that were activated while you were awake. Researchers have found that people who sleep after learning perform significantly better on memory tests than those who remain awake for the same period of time. The subconscious is essentially reviewing the day's lessons, deciding which ones to keep, and reinforcing them while you rest. Learning doesn't end when the day does. It continues, quietly, while you sleep. REM sleep, on the other hand, is where your subconscious processes emotions. The REM stage, characterized by rapid movements beneath closed eyelids and vivid dream activity, has been described by neuroscientist Matthew Walker at the University of California, Berkeley, as a kind of overnight emotional therapy. During REM sleep, the brain replays emotionally charged experiences from the day, but does so in a neurochemical environment where the stress hormone norepinephrine is largely suppressed. This means the memory is processed without the full emotional charge attached to it. You wake, having retained the lesson of the experience, but with less of the raw pain. Sleep, quite literally, takes the sting out of difficult moments. The hippocampus acts as a temporary holding space for new memories during the day, and sleep is what empties it. Think of the hippocampus, a small, seahorse-shaped structure deep in the brain, as a kind of short-term inbox. Throughout your waking hours, it receives and temporarily stores new information, but it has limited capacity. During sleep, especially during slow-wave and REM stages, the information held in the hippocampus is transferred to the neocortex, the vast outer surface of the brain, for long-term storage, where Fact 3 described how neural connections are strengthened during this process. It is this transfer, from temporary holding to permanent archive, that makes the strengthening possible in the first place. Without adequate sleep, the hippocampus becomes overloaded, and new learning becomes increasingly difficult to retain. Sleep doesn't just help memory. Sleep is memory. Your subconscious uses sleep to clear out the brain's waste products through a dedicated cleaning network. The brain has a system called the glymphatic system, a channel of fluid-filled pathways that surrounds blood vessels throughout the brain. During sleep, particularly deep sleep, the spaces between brain cells expand by as much as 60%. This allows cerebrospinal fluid to flow more freely through the tissue, flushing out waste products that accumulated during the day. This system, first described by researchers at the University of Rochester in 2013, is most active during rest. Sleep is not merely stillness. It is, quite literally, the brain carrying out its own quiet housekeeping, washing away the residue of the day so that tomorrow begins clean. One of those waste products is beta amyloid, a protein linked to cognitive decline. Beta amyloid is a byproduct of normal neural activity that, when it accumulates in excess, forms plaques between neurons. These plaques have been consistently associated with Alzheimer's disease. Research published in the journal Science found that even a single night of sleep deprivation leads to a measurable increase in beta amyloid accumulation in the human brain. The glymphatic system, working through the night, helps remove these proteins before they can build up. Sleep, then, is not just rest for the mind. It is one of the most powerful tools available for protecting the brain across a lifetime. The subconscious also uses sleep to rehearse motor skills you practice during the day. If you spent time learning to play an instrument, practicing a sport, or mastering a new physical skill, your subconscious continues rehearsing those movements during sleep. Studies using neuroimaging have shown that the same motor cortex regions activated during waking practice are reactivated during sleep, particularly during stage 2 non-REM sleep, which is characterized by bursts of brain activity called sleep spindles. These spindles appear to be directly involved in the consolidation of motor learning. People who sleep after practicing a new physical skill perform measurably better the following day than those who do not. The body practices while the mind rests. Sleep spindles, brief bursts of synchronized neural activity, are one of the key mechanisms of subconscious problem solving. Sleep spindles last only about half a second to 3 seconds, but they occur hundreds of times each night. They appear to facilitate the transfer of information from the hippocampus to the neocortex, and they seem to play a special role in integrating new learning with existing knowledge. Researchers have found that individuals with higher sleep spindle activity tend to perform better on tests of verbal learning, procedural memory, and flexible thinking. The subconscious, during these brief electrical bursts, is quietly weaving new information into the larger fabric of what you already know. Connection, not just storage. So yes, your subconscious is already solving problems you haven't consciously posed. The first 10 facts we've explored together reveal something quietly profound. Sleep is not passive. It is one of the most complex, active, and purposeful states the human brain ever enters. While your conscious mind withdraws into rest, the subconscious takes over, cleaning, consolidating, rehearsing, and integrating. And the problems it solves are not always the ones you noticed having. Sometimes, the subconscious works on questions you forgot you were asking. Sometimes the solution waiting for you in the morning has been quietly assembled through the night, piece by piece. In the language of neurons firing in the dark, the phenomenon of waking with the solution to a problem has a name: hypnopompic insight. Hypnopompic insight refers to the clarity of thought that sometimes occurs in the transitional state between sleep and waking. Many people report that answers to creative, mathematical, or personal problems arrive fully formed in the first moments of consciousness. This is thought to occur because the prefrontal cortex, the brain's center of logic and executive control, is among the last regions to come fully online after sleep. In those early waking moments, the mind is still partially operating in a looser, more associative mode. Connections that would be filtered or dismissed by the rational waking mind have a brief window to surface. Thomas Edison and Salvador Dali both reportedly used the very edge of falling asleep to spark creative ideas. Edison and Dali each described holding an object while resting, something that would fall and wake them the moment they drifted off, allowing them to capture the unusual thoughts arising at the threshold of sleep. A study published in Science Advances confirmed that hovering at this early edge of sleep, a stage called N1, creates a genuine window of insight. Participants who reached N1 for even 1 minute were nearly 3 times more likely to discover a hidden shortcut in a mathematical problem than those who stayed fully awake. But this gentle window is narrow. drift too deeply into sleep, and the effect softens. The mind seems to find its most creative ground at the very edge of rest, not within it, but at its quiet boundary. During REM sleep, the brain makes connections between distantly related concepts. This is one of the reasons dreaming feels so unusual, and also so creative. In waking life, the prefrontal cortex applies logical filters to our associations, keeping most thinking focused and linear. During REM sleep, those filters relax. The brain begins drawing connections across a much wider network of stored knowledge, linking ideas that would never be brought together in ordinary thought. Researchers describe this as a shift from focused, convergent thinking to broad, divergent thinking. The subconscious, freed from the constraints of waking logic, explores the entire landscape of what you know, looking for patterns, bridges, and unexpected resonances. Among the most celebrated moments in the history of creative insight is the reverie of August Kekule, the German chemist, dozing in a chair before a fireplace in the 1860s, found himself watching atoms dance and twist in his mind's eye, until one, shaped like a serpent, seized its own tail and turned in a circle. This image gave him the clue to the circular structure of the benzene molecule, a discovery that transformed organic chemistry. Whether the subconscious constructs literal answers or simply creates the conditions in which answers become visible, the deeper principle holds. A mind that has been working deeply on a problem does not stop working when the effort of consciousness is released. Sometimes, the stillness is where the answer was waiting all along. During stage 2 non-REM sleep, the motor cortex rehearses physical skills practiced during the day. This rehearsal is not a metaphor. Neuroimaging studies have found that the specific motor cortex regions activated during waking practice are reactivated during sleep, precisely retracing the sequences of movement the body learned while awake. Musicians, athletes, and surgeons who sleep well after practice consistently demonstrate measurably improved performance the following morning, not because they consciously reviewed their technique, but because the sleeping brain refined it on their behalf. The subconscious does not merely remember what you practiced. It works on it further, smoothing the rough edges, deepening the grooves, making what was effortful begin to feel natural. The subconscious uses dreaming to rehearse challenging scenarios, a kind of quiet emotional preparation. One prominent theory of dreaming, developed by neuroscientist Antti Revonsuo, proposes that dreams serve a threat simulation function. According to this view, the dreaming brain rehearses responses to difficult or uncertain situations as a form of preparation. This would explain why many common dreams revisit familiar settings, rehearse upcoming challenges, or return to moments of uncertainty, rather than being random or meaningless. These dreams may be the subconscious running quiet preparation drills, strengthening the neural networks associated with emotional readiness and considered response. You wake, perhaps, having practiced something you didn't know you needed to practice. Children spend a much higher proportion of their sleep in REM than adults do. Newborns spend approximately 50% of their sleep time in REM. That proportion gradually decreases through childhood and adolescence, settling at roughly 20 to 25% in healthy adults. Researchers believe this reflects the enormous amount of neural development, emotional learning, and identity formation occurring in young brains. The subconscious of a child is working with a very different workload than that of an adult. Integrating language, attachment patterns, social rules, and emotional responses at a rate that will never be matched again. Sleep, in early life, is not just restorative, it is constructive. The mind is literally being built in the night. The subconscious also uses sleep to regulate the body's stress response systems. The hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the body's primary stress response network, is directly influenced by sleep quality. During adequate sleep, cortisol levels follow a natural rhythm, peaking in the early morning to prepare the body for waking activity and declining through the day. Sleep deprivation disrupts this rhythm, elevating baseline cortisol levels and keeping the stress response system in a state of low-level activation. The subconscious, through the machinery of sleep, helps recalibrate this system each night. Good sleep is not just calming. It is one of the few processes available to the human body that can actually reset the physiological stress response to its natural baseline. Lucid dreaming, the ability to become aware that you are dreaming, offers a rare window into subconscious processing. In a lucid dream, the dreamer realizes they are in a dream state, sometimes gaining the ability to direct the dream's content. Neuroimaging studies of lucid dreamers have found that the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the region associated with self-awareness and metacognition, shows increased activity during lucid dreaming compared to ordinary REM sleep. This suggests that lucid dreaming represents a hybrid state, where elements of waking consciousness coexist with the dreaming brain. Researchers are exploring lucid dreaming as a potential tool for working with recurrent nightmares, allowing individuals to gently intervene in the subconscious narratives that visit them at night. The subconscious uses sleep to strengthen the emotional meaning of memories, not just their content. A memory is not simply a recording of what happened. It also encodes how you felt in that moment. The emotional weight, the significance, the personal resonance. Research has found that sleep preferentially consolidates the emotional aspects of memories, sometimes more than the factual details. This is why certain memories feel vivid and emotionally present, even when the surrounding details have faded. The subconscious seems to prioritize not just what happened, but what it meant to you. Your personal history, as kept by the sleeping mind, is as much a record of feeling as it is of fact. The subconscious integrates new experiences with existing knowledge through a process called schema updating. A schema is a mental framework, a set of organized beliefs and expectations built from past experience. When something new happens that doesn't quite fit your existing schemas, the subconscious uses sleep to gently update them. This process happens gradually across multiple sleep cycles and helps explain why our understanding of complex topics tends to deepen over days and weeks rather than moments. The sleeping on it phenomenon has a genuine neural basis. Sleep doesn't just store information. It reorganizes the mental filing system, revising categories, updating patterns, and building more accurate models of the world and of yourself. Dreams may serve as a rehearsal space for social and interpersonal scenarios. Social neuroscience research has noted that a disproportionate amount of dream content involves other people, conversations, conflicts, reconciliations, and moments of connection. Some researchers propose that the dreaming brain uses these social simulations to process interpersonal experiences from waking life. rehearse future social interactions, and update the brain's understanding of important relationships. From this perspective, dreaming about someone you care about, or someone you've had a difficult experience with, is the subconscious doing relational work. It is reviewing, revising, and sometimes gently healing the social map it uses to navigate the human world. The subconscious uses sleep to process grief and loss. Bereavement researchers have noted that the quality and content of dreams often changes during periods of acute grief. Dreams of deceased loved ones are extremely common in early bereavement, reported by 40 to 80% of grieving individuals across cultures. These dreams are frequently experienced as comforting rather than distressing, and many bereaved individuals report that they feel meaningful, even healing. The prevailing view among sleep researchers is that the subconscious uses these dreams as part of the natural emotional processing of loss, gradually integrating the absence of someone important into the updated story of the person's inner world. Grief, too, is something the sleeping mind tends in the dark. The brain preferentially consolidates memories that carry personal relevance during sleep. Not all memories are treated equally. Research has shown that the subconscious prioritizes information that is personally meaningful, emotionally significant, or connected to the individual's goals and concerns. This selectivity is thought to be influenced by the amygdala, the brain's emotional processing center, which tags certain experiences as important during the day, flagging them for priority processing during sleep. The result is that your subconscious constructs a version of memory that is, in a very real sense, deeply personal. What gets kept and strengthened is not always what was most recent or most dramatic. It is often what mattered most to you. Halfway through our first act, a pattern has already emerged. The subconscious is not random. It works according to priorities. It selects, weighs, organizes, and integrates. It processes the emotional residue of your day, rehearses scenarios that prepare you for the future, cleans the cellular machinery of your brain, and builds an ever more sophisticated model of the world you inhabit. Every night, you hand your waking mind's unfinished work over to this deeper intelligence. And every morning, that intelligence returns something to you, quieter than you gave it, often resolved in ways you can't quite explain. This is what your subconscious does when you sleep, and we are only just beginning. Let's pause here and notice your body. As you breathe out slowly, appreciate each quiet process happening inside you right now. While you rest, your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do: receiving, sorting, gently filing away the moments of your day into the places where they belong. You don't have to help it. You don't have to try. Notice the gentle weight of your body, the rise and fall of your breath, the quiet settling of your thoughts, one by one, like leaves drifting to still water. You are a complete and intricate system, always tending to itself. Even now, even in this stillness. Now we continue. The subconscious mind processes far more information than the conscious mind is ever aware of. Estimates in cognitive science suggest that the conscious mind can hold approximately 40 to 50 bits of information per second. The subconscious, by contrast, processes somewhere in the range of 11 million bits per second. A difference so vast, it is almost impossible to comprehend. This means that the vast majority of what your brain receives, processes, and responds to throughout the day never surfaces to conscious awareness at all. Subconscious processing governs posture, breath, balance, emotional tone, facial recognition, memory retrieval, language comprehension, and hundreds of other functions, all simultaneously, all quietly, all beneath the threshold of your noticing. During sleep, the subconscious continues processing sensory information from the environment. Even in deep sleep, the brain does not fully disengage from the outside world. The auditory cortex continues processing sounds, and the subconscious monitors the environment for meaningful signals. This is why parents often wake easily to the sound of a child's cry, but sleep through traffic noise. The sleeping brain has learned to selectively respond to what matters. This selective awareness is a function of the subconscious monitoring system, which never fully goes offline. Sleep is not withdrawal from the world. It is a strategic repositioning, deep enough to rest, but never so deep that you are entirely unguarded. The subconscious uses a process called targeted memory reactivation during sleep. Targeted memory reactivation is a technique explored in both research and emerging therapeutic settings, in which specific cues associated with learning, sounds, smells, or light patterns, are reintroduced during sleep to strengthen the corresponding memories. Studies have shown that this can selectively boost the consolidation of particular memories without disrupting overall sleep quality. This research reveals something important. The subconscious system of memory consolidation can be guided by association. What surrounds a memory during learning? The sounds in the room, the scent in the air, becomes part of the memory's tag. And those tags can call the memory forward again, even in sleep. Nightmares are one way the subconscious signals that emotional processing has become overwhelmed. Nightmares are not simply unpleasant dreams. They are, from a neurological perspective, disruptions in the normal emotional processing that REM sleep provides. When the emotional content being processed is too intense, or when the brain's regulatory systems are strained by stress or anxiety, the REM sleep process can become destabilized, producing distressing dream content that wakes the sleeper before processing is complete. Recurring nightmares, in particular, are now understood as a sign that certain emotional experiences have not been adequately integrated. They are the subconscious returning, again and again, to something unresolved, asking for more time, more gentleness, more stillness. Post-traumatic stress directly disrupts the subconscious's ability to process difficult memories during sleep. In individuals with post-traumatic stress, the normal REM sleep process is profoundly disrupted. Researchers found that trauma memories are often replayed during sleep without the neurochemical suppression of norepinephrine that ordinarily allows the emotional charge to be reduced. Instead of the memory losing its rawness through sleep, it retains its full intensity, producing vivid, realistic nightmares that feel like reliving rather than processing. This understanding has led to new approaches in trauma therapy that specifically target sleep quality as part of healing. When the subconscious can finally process a difficult memory with the emotional buffers intact, healing becomes possible. The subconscious uses sleep to consolidate a sense of personal identity. This may be one of the most profound functions of sleep that is least often discussed. Research in narrative psychology and neuroscience suggests that the sleeping brain plays a significant role in organizing autobiographical memory. the story of who you are and what has happened to you. During sleep, the subconscious weaves new experiences into the existing narrative, updating the sense of self in light of what has changed. This nightly integration creates a stable, continuous sense of identity over time. Without adequate sleep, that continuity can begin to fray. The story becomes harder to hold. Sleep, quite gently, helps you know who you are. The subconscious uses sleep to integrate implicit learning, knowledge you absorbed without realizing it. Implicit learning refers to the acquisition of knowledge through exposure rather than explicit instruction. You may learn the rhythm of a language, the unspoken rules of a social situation, or the patterns in a complex system simply by being present in environments where those patterns exist. During sleep, this implicit knowledge is consolidated alongside explicit memories. Research has found that people who sleep after exposure to pattern-containing information are significantly better at identifying the pattern's underlying rules than those who remain awake. The subconscious quietly extracts the structure from your experience. Morning clarity. Sometimes, is yesterday's implicit learning made conscious? Dreams in REM sleep draw on the full history of your subconscious mind. Dream imagery is not random. Studies in dream content analysis have found consistent patterns, certain themes, emotions, and characters appear repeatedly across the dreams of a lifetime. The subconscious draws on its entire archive when composing a dream. Old memories surface alongside recent ones. Childhood feelings blend with present concerns. And the people who have mattered most appear with a frequency that reflects their emotional significance rather than their recency. Your entire psychological history participates in the construction of each night's dreams. Every dream is, in some sense, a conversation between all the versions of you that have ever existed. The subconscious uses sleep to recalibrate the brain's dopamine and reward systems. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter most associated with motivation, pleasure, and reward, is directly regulated by sleep. Sleep deprivation has been shown to dysregulate the dopamine system, in some cases producing heightened impulsivity and reward-seeking, in others producing a dulling of the sense of pleasure and motivation. Research from the Max Planck Institute for Human Cognitive and Brain Sciences found that even moderate sleep restriction alters the brain's response to rewarding stimuli. Adequate sleep, by contrast, allows the dopamine system to reset, restoring healthy motivation, emotional balance, and the capacity to find genuine satisfaction in ordinary experience. Rest, it turns out, matters deeply to joy. The subconscious uses sleep to process the emotional undertones of language. Language is not only meaning. It carries emotional resonance. The way certain words feel different from others with similar definitions. The way tone and rhythm carry information that the words themselves do not contain. Research has shown that sleep plays a role in consolidating the emotional associations embedded in language. People who learn new words in an emotional context show stronger retention of those emotional connotations after sleep than after an equivalent period of waking. The subconscious is not merely memorizing vocabulary. It is learning the full emotional texture of human language, including all the things words mean beneath the surface of what they say. Slow oscillations during deep sleep coordinate the transfer of information across brain regions. During deep, slow-wave sleep, the brain produces large, synchronized waves of electrical activity that sweep rhythmically across the cortex. These slow oscillations coordinate the timing of memory replay between the hippocampus and the neocortex, essentially acting as a conductor that keeps the memory transfer process in sync. Researchers have found that disrupting these oscillations through noise or light that fragments deep sleep without fully waking the sleeper measurably affects memory consolidation the following day. Even when the sleeper reports feeling rested, the rhythm of deep sleep is not merely calming. It is a functional architecture. The quiet waves of rest are doing precise and gentle work. The subconscious appears to use REM sleep to simulate the emotional perspective of others. Empathy, the capacity to understand and share the feelings of another person, is, among other things, a cognitive skill that benefits from practice and reinforcement. Several researchers have proposed that the social scenarios arising in dreams may serve partly to rehearse perspective-taking, allowing the sleeping brain to model the emotional states of other people and practice the kind of flexible, empathic thinking that complex social life requires. Studies examining emotional intelligence and social functioning have found positive associations with REM sleep quality, suggesting that those who sleep well may, through the quiet work of the night, become a little better at understanding the inner lives of others. The subconscious uses sleep to regulate appetite and metabolic hormones. Leptin, the hormone that signals fullness, and ghrelin, the hormone that triggers hunger, are both significantly influenced by sleep. Sleep deprivation consistently lowers leptin levels and raises ghrelin levels, creating a physiological state of increased hunger regardless of actual caloric need. This is why inadequate sleep is so closely linked to changes in eating behavior. The subconscious regulatory systems that govern hunger and satiety depend on sleep to function correctly. Adequate sleep is not just a mental health tool. It is a metabolic one, helping the body maintain the chemical balance that allows it to accurately read its own needs. During the night, the subconscious may selectively process and preserve creative insights. In a series of studies examining sleep and creativity, researchers found that participants who were allowed to sleep after being presented with problems requiring creative thinking showed markedly improved performance compared to those who remained awake. What was particularly notable was that the improvement was most pronounced for problems requiring remote associations, connections between distantly related concepts. The subconscious does not merely preserve the day's learning. It appears to search for new angles, new connections, new framings of unsolved questions. The sleeping mind is not only an archivist, it is, in some important sense, a collaborator. 40 facts in, and the picture of the subconscious sleeping mind has grown remarkably rich. It processes emotion, integrates learning, regulates stress, rehearses social scenarios, updates identity, clears metabolic waste, recalibrates reward systems, and generates creative insight, all while the conscious mind rests. These are not separate functions happening in isolation. They are deeply interwoven, each supporting and enabling the others. The subconscious sleeping mind is not a machine running a checklist. It is something far more elegant, a vast and intricate intelligence, responsive to your history, your emotions, your goals, and your needs, doing its most meaningful work precisely in the moments when you have released the effort of being awake. you're still here with me. Thoughts still gently flickering. Just notice. Don't hold them. Let them drift. We're exploring consciousness itself right now. The very thing doing the exploring. If this quiet journey has been settling your mind tonight, a gentle like or subscribe helps another restless soul find their way here too. One quiet tap, one sleepy soul at a time. Let's drift onward together. The subconscious mind communicates its work through the texture of how you feel upon waking. You have likely had the experience of waking with an inexplicable sense of resolution, a feeling that something difficult from the day before has somehow loosened, without any conscious effort on your part. This is not imagination. It is the residue of the subconscious's overnight emotional processing. Conversely, waking with a sense of heaviness or unease can reflect interrupted or incomplete REM sleep, emotional material that was started but not finished. The quality of your mornings is, in part, a gentle report from your subconscious about the quality of the work it was able to accomplish through the night. Sleep spindles appear to be markers of individual differences in learning capacity. Research published in the journal Sleep found that the density of sleep spindles, the number of those brief neural bursts per hour of sleep, varies significantly from person to person and is relatively stable within individuals across nights. Higher spindle density has been associated with better performance on tests of verbal learning, procedural memory, and flexible thinking. The brain's capacity to approach new problems with openness and adaptability. Some researchers have proposed that sleep spindle activity may reflect individual differences in the brain's capacity for growth and change in response to new experience. The sleeping mind's quiet electrical work may be one of the hidden signatures of how each person learns. The subconscious uses sleep to sort memories not only by content, but by future relevance. Emerging research suggests that the sleeping brain does not passively consolidate all memories equally. Instead, it appears to apply a forward-looking filter, prioritizing the consolidation of information that is likely to be needed in the future. In studies where participants were told that certain information would be tested later, sleep preferentially strengthened memory for that information over information presented equally but not flagged as important. The subconscious, it seems, takes your intentions seriously. What you expect to need, it helps you keep. The sleeping mind is already, quietly, planning for tomorrow. The glymphatic system works most efficiently in certain body positions during sleep. Research published in the Journal of Neuroscience found that, in rodents, the brain's glymphatic cleaning system operates most effectively when sleeping in a side-lying position, compared to lying on the back or stomach. While this finding has not yet been directly confirmed in human studies, researchers suggest it may help explain why side sleeping is the most natural and common sleeping position across many species. The body, it seems, may have found its own quiet way of optimizing the night's work long before we understood what that work was. Even how we rest shapes the quality of the rest itself. The subconscious uses sleep to establish and update procedural memories, the knowledge of how to do things. Procedural memories are distinct from declarative memories, the knowledge of what is true. They encode skills, habits, and sequences of action. Learning to ride a bicycle, to type quickly, to play a chord on a guitar. These are procedural memories. Research consistently shows that the consolidation of procedural memory is strongly dependent on sleep, particularly the later sleep cycles of the night, which contain proportionally more REM sleep. This is one reason why practicing a skill the night before a meaningful moment and then sleeping tends to produce better results than additional practice without rest. The sleeping mind refines what the waking mind began. The dreaming mind is thought to use narrative, story structure, as a tool for emotional integration. This is a reflective observation, but one supported by converging lines of research. Many researchers believe that the story-like quality of dreams is not incidental. Narrative is one of the most powerful cognitive tools available for processing complex experience. By casting the emotional residue of the day into a story, with characters, setting, and sometimes a sense of resolution, the dreaming brain may be using the architecture of meaning-making itself to integrate difficult material. The story doesn't have to make logical sense. Its purpose is emotional coherence, not factual accuracy. The dreaming mind is a storyteller working in the stillness, building sense from feeling. The subconscious uses sleep to recalibrate the threshold for emotional reactivity. One of the functions of overnight emotional processing is to reset the amygdala's responsiveness. After inadequate sleep, the amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm system, becomes hypersensitive, responding with greater intensity to ambiguous or neutral situations. Well-slept individuals show significantly more measured, proportionate emotional responses than sleep-deprived ones, even when confronting identical circumstances. The subconscious, through the machinery of REM sleep, is essentially recalibrating the volume on the emotional alarm system each night, ensuring that when morning comes, you meet the world with more equanimity than you might have had if you hadn't rested. New research suggests that the subconscious may use sleep to consolidate moral and ethical intuitions. This is an area of early but genuinely interesting inquiry. Studies in moral psychology have found that judgments about ethically ambiguous situations shift after sleep, often in the direction of greater nuance and compassion. Researchers have proposed that just as sleep integrates factual and emotional memories, it may also integrate moral experiences. The instances of ethical difficulty, regret, repair, and growth that accumulate over a life. The sleeping mind may be, among its many roles, a quiet moral philosopher, sitting with the day's complexities, turning them gently in the light, and returning them to consciousness slightly more refined. What a quietly extraordinary thing that is to consider. The subconscious uses sleep to process language learning with remarkable efficiency. Studies examining the acquisition of new languages have found that sleep at the right time in the learning cycle, specifically shortly after the initial exposure to new vocabulary and grammar structures, noticeably accelerates retention and generalization. The subconscious consolidates not just individual words, but the implicit rules of the language's structure. Researchers have found that even brief naps after a language learning session can improve performance compared to an equivalent period of quiet wakefulness. The sleeping brain, it turns out, is one of the most effective language tutors available. It works without effort, without frustration, and without the need for reward. Halfway through our journey tonight, the central truth of the subconscious sleeping mind is already clear. Your sleeping mind is not the absence of you. It is a deeper version of you, one that has access to the full architecture of your history, your emotions, your learning, and your becoming. It works on your behalf every night, without being asked, without complaint, without needing recognition. Every problem it quietly resolves. Every memory it carefully tends. Every emotion it gently processes is a gift it gives to the waking version of you. And the only thing it asks in return is that you give it the time and quiet it needs to do its most meaningful work. Let each breath guide you to realize that the mind working quietly beneath your awareness right now is already tending to things you don't even know need tending. While the vast questions of your life continue to unfold, this moment, this breath you are taking right now, is yours entirely. Take another breath, slowly. Feel the air fill your chest and release. You don't need to think. You don't need to understand. You only need to rest. The subconscious knows the way. It has always known. Cherish this moment of stillness, knowing that right now, your sleeping mind is doing its most meaningful work. And we continue drifting. The subconscious processes social experiences during sleep. Social experiences that carry emotional weight, being included, feeling understood, experiencing a moment of genuine connection. Activate specific neural pathways that sleep then tends. Research suggests that adequate sleep significantly reduces the intensity of difficult social memories over time, while preserving the warmth of positive ones. The subconscious appears to process the social residue of each day, the things said and unsaid, the gestures noticed and missed, reducing their raw charge and integrating them into the ongoing story of your relationships. Morning light doesn't rewrite difficult interactions, but it often makes them more manageable, more human in scale. The subconscious uses early sleep cycles for memory consolidation and later ones for emotional processing. The architecture of a full night's sleep is elegantly designed. The early cycles, the first 3 to 4 hours, contain proportionally more deep, slow-wave sleep, which matters most for consolidating factual and procedural memories. The later cycles, the final 2 to 3 hours before natural waking, contain proportionally more REM sleep, which matters most for emotional processing and creative integration. This means that cutting sleep short, even if it feels sufficient, often specifically shortens the period of REM sleep most meaningful for emotional balance. The last hour of sleep is not a luxury. It is often when the most tender work is done. The subconscious uses sleep to strengthen the default mode network, the brain's introspective system. The default mode network is the set of brain regions most active when we are at rest, daydreaming, or engaged in self-referential thinking, reflecting on the past, imagining the future, or considering the perspectives of others. Sleep, particularly deep sleep, is thought to play an important role in maintaining and restoring the connectivity of this network. When we wake from adequate sleep, our capacity for self-reflection, empathy, and future planning is quietly restored. The default mode network is, in a sense, the neural substrate of the inner life. Sleep tends it with care. The subconscious may use dreams to rehearse the experience of profound transition. This is a subjective reflection, one with roots in cross-cultural dream research. Across many traditions and throughout history, dreams involving significant transformation, endings, dissolution, the letting go of something familiar, have been reported not primarily as distressing, but as peaceful, even clarifying. Some sleep researchers have suggested that certain dream experiences may help the mind model deep transitions, change, loss, the releasing of what no longer serves, and thereby reduce the anxiety that can surround them in waking life. The dreaming mind seems to have a gentleness about impermanence that the waking mind sometimes finds difficult to approach. During sleep, the brain consolidates not just memory, but the feeling of mastery. After a period of learning, whether a new skill, a new piece of music, or a new way of thinking, sleep does not merely preserve the ability, it transforms it. What was effortful and deliberate before sleep often becomes more fluid and natural after it. This subjective shift in the quality of knowledge, from knowing how to do something to simply being able to do it, appears to be part of what the subconscious accomplishes during the night. Sleep is not just storage. It is the quiet process by which knowing becomes being. The subconscious uses sleep to complete unfinished emotional experiences. In psychology, there is a concept called the Zeigarnik effect, the tendency to remain mentally engaged with unfinished experiences more than completed ones. Emotionally incomplete moments, conversations that ended unresolved, feelings that were interrupted before they could fully settle, also tend to remain active in subconscious attention. Sleep appears to provide a space in which these emotional threads can be gently drawn toward closure. Not every unresolved experience is fully resolved in one night, but the subconscious makes progress, quietly, night by night. Rest is not escape from the unfinished. It is how the unfinished is slowly, gently tended. Dreams that feel meaningful often are, in the sense that they reflect genuine subconscious processing. There is a long tradition of dismissing dreams as noise, random neural firing with no informational content. But the weight of contemporary sleep research offers a different view. While the specific imagery of dreams may be idiosyncratic, the emotional themes tend to track closely with the dreamer's actual psychological concerns and current life experiences. Studies in which dreamers recorded their dreams and described their waking concerns found consistent topical and emotional overlap. Your dreams are not about you in the way a photograph is about you. They are about you in the way a poem is, indirectly, symbolically, and often more honestly than waking speech allows. The subconscious uses sleep to recalibrate the sense of time. Sleep resets the brain's internal sense of temporal duration. After sleep, experiences that felt recent the night before often feel more distant. Events that felt pressing often feel more proportionate. There is emerging evidence that the hippocampus, which is involved not only in memory but in temporal context, undergoes a kind of periodic resetting during sleep. This resetting may be one of the mechanisms through which sleep creates the subjective sense of a new beginning that a good night's rest can provide. Morning is not merely the next part of the same continuous day. The sleeping brain has quietly created a small horizon between yesterday and now. The subconscious uses sleep to consolidate the learning from acts of kindness and compassion. Research in positive psychology and social neuroscience has found that pro-social behaviors, helping others, expressing gratitude, offering comfort, activate specific reward circuits in the brain. Sleep is thought to consolidate the memory and emotional resonance of these experiences, reinforcing the neural pathways associated with compassionate behavior over time. The subconscious may be, among its many roles, a quiet keeper of the heart, preserving and gently strengthening the experiences that connect us to others. What we practice in the world during the day, the sleeping mind tends at night. The subconscious uses sleep to consolidate the sense of safety. Attachment research has long recognized that the sense of security, of being fundamentally at ease in the world, is built through experience and reinforced through the body's regulatory systems. Sleep is one of the primary mechanisms through which the nervous system's sense of safety is maintained and restored. Adequate sleep strengthens the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's rest and restore response, while gently reducing the hypervigilance of the threat detection system. People who sleep well tend to approach the world with more openness, more trust, and less defensive reactivity. Sleep does not simply restore your body. It restores your sense of the world as a place where rest is possible. The subconscious uses sleep to support the gradual process of forgiving. Forgiveness, one of the most psychologically demanding acts available to a human being, appears to be supported by sleep. Research examining the relationship between sleep quality and the capacity for forgiveness has found that better slept individuals are more capable of extending forgiveness in interpersonal conflicts, and that sleep deprivation specifically impairs the emotional regulation that forgiveness requires. To forgive is not simply to decide. It is to gradually allow the emotional charge of a wound to soften. And softening, it seems, is partly what happens in the night. The subconscious may be, in its quiet way, one of the gentle architects of peace between people. Dreams occasionally generate genuinely novel solutions to problems. This is not merely poetic. Research has documented instances in which novel problem-solving strategies appeared to subjects during dreaming. The dreaming brain's capacity to combine and recombine knowledge in unusual ways, freed from the constraints of waking logic, appears to produce, at least occasionally, genuine insights that would not have arisen through deliberate, conscious effort alone. The subconscious does not distinguish between scientific questions and personal ones. It works on all of them, with equal care. In the stillness, the subconscious uses sleep to update the brain's fear extinction memories. Fear extinction is the process by which a previously unsettling stimulus loses its emotional charge through repeated exposure without consequence. This process is central to approaches for working with anxiety and trauma-related conditions. Researchers found that sleep is meaningful for consolidating fear extinction memories, and that disrupted sleep can restore previously extinguished responses, effectively undoing progress. The subconscious, during adequate sleep, preserves the learning that this previously difficult thing is now safe. Without sleep, the brain can forget the safety lesson and relearn the fear. Rest, for those healing from anxiety, is not optional. It is part of the process. The architecture of a dream reflects the architecture of the dreamer's emotional life. Dream content analysis, the systematic study of what people dream about, has found consistent patterns across thousands of dreams collected across decades. Recurring themes, dominant emotions, characteristic social dynamics, and habitual metaphors appear with regularity across the dreams of an individual. These patterns tend to mirror the individual's waking psychological concerns, interpersonal dynamics, and emotional priorities. The subconscious does not dream randomly. It returns to what matters, circling the significant, illuminating the obscure, and finding new angles on the familiar. Your dream life is not separate from your inner life. It is, in many respects, its most honest expression. Identity is not a fixed structure, and the subconscious uses sleep to revise the story in light of who you are becoming. The subconscious works not just on what you remember, but on how you remember yourself. Each experience that changes you, a loss, a connection, a quiet moment of growth, is slowly woven into the ongoing account of your life during sleep. This is why significant transitions so often bring disrupted sleep. The subconscious is doing heavier editorial work than usual. The story has changed. The subconscious is gently updating every page. What had seemed clear may need to be revisited. What had felt complete may need to be extended. Night by night, the subconscious builds a more honest and more complete account of who you are. The subconscious uses sleep to prepare the emotional baseline for the following day. This function is sometimes called sleep's effective restorative role. Research using daily mood assessments has found that the quality of the previous night's sleep is among the strongest predictors of emotional tone the following day. Stronger, in many studies, than the emotional events of the preceding day themselves. The subconscious, through its nightly emotional processing, resets the baseline from which you meet each new morning. Good sleep does not guarantee a good day, but it provides a cleaner emotional starting point. More resilience, more openness, more capacity to meet what arrives without being already overwhelmed before it does. The subconscious processes information presented to you during sleep under certain conditions. The brain does not simply close off to external input during sleep. Under certain conditions, particularly during the lighter stages of non-REM sleep, the sleeping brain can process and retain simple information. Studies have found that semantic associations can form during sleep, and that emotionally resonant words presented during sleep may influence subsequent waking memory tests. This is a subtle effect, not a robust learning channel, but it suggests that the boundary between sleeping and waking consciousness is more permeable than it appears. The subconscious, even in rest, maintains a quiet awareness of the world it is resting within. The subconscious uses sleep to process music. Musicians who practice before sleep show accelerated learning of musical passages compared to those who practice and remain awake. But more intriguingly, non-musicians who are exposed to melodic sequences before sleep show improved recognition and recall of those sequences the following day. The sleeping brain continues processing auditory patterns, extracting structure, recognizing repetition, and consolidating the emotional resonance of what it heard. Some researchers have proposed that the regular, predictable patterns of ambient sound during sleep may gently support the brain's processing rhythms. The music playing softly while you rest is not entirely separate from the work being done. It may, in small ways, be part of it. The subconscious uses sleep to consolidate the lessons of difficulty. When things don't go as hoped, the neural signature of that experience must be retained as useful learning while the emotional weight of it is gently modulated. Research has found that sleep plays an important role in this balance. consolidating the informational content of difficult experiences while reducing their emotional intensity to manageable levels. The person who sleeps after a setback tends to extract the lesson more clearly than the one who lies awake reviewing it. The subconscious turns difficulty into understanding. It does so quietly, in the stillness, while you rest. The concept of sleeping on a decision has genuine psychological merit. Research in decision-making has found that for complex decisions involving many variables, the kind that cannot be easily resolved through conscious analysis alone, allowing a period of sleep often leads to more considered outcomes than attempting to deliberate exhaustively while awake. This may be because the subconscious, unconstrained by the limited capacity of working memory, can process all the relevant factors simultaneously, weighing them against each other in ways that conscious thought cannot easily manage. The expression "sleep on it" is not a postponement. It is a delegation, handing the question to a more spacious processor and trusting it to return something useful in the morning. The subconscious uses sleep to process the meaning of stillness. This is a reflective observation. The absence of stimulation during sleep, the quietude, the darkness, the gentle absence of demand, is not merely a neutral background. Research in sensory neuroscience has found that the brain actively processes the boundaries between stimulation and its absence. The transition into sleep, with its withdrawal of sensory input, may itself be an experience the subconscious processes and integrates. The stillness of the sleeping room is not nothing to the sleeping brain. It may be experienced as permission to release the vigilance of the day. Silence, the subconscious knows, is also a kind of nourishment. The subconscious uses sleep to consolidate the emotional lessons of beauty, experiences of beauty, encounters with art, music, nature, or human connection that produce a sense of awe or profound resonance. Activate specific neural systems associated with reward, self-transcendence, and meaning-making. These experiences leave a deeper trace than ordinary pleasant events. Sleep appears to consolidate these traces with particular care, preserving and integrating the moments that lifted us out of ordinary experience into something larger. The subconscious seems to recognize beauty as worth keeping. It tends these memories gently, as if they contain something worth preserving very carefully. Perhaps because they do. The subconscious uses sleep to process the experience of being cared for. Secure attachment, the felt sense of being consistently known and valued, has measurable effects on brain structure and function. Research in interpersonal neurobiology has found that the quality of our attachment relationships influences the architecture of the neural systems governing stress, emotion, and self-regulation. Sleep, which restores and reinforces these systems, may play a role in consolidating the experience of felt security, deepening the neural trace of being truly known. The subconscious keeps the memory of warmth not only as a fact, it keeps it as a felt sense, available in the body, available in the deep night when it is most needed. The subconscious uses sleep to slowly transform difficult experience into memory. Trauma, at its neurological core, is an experience that could not be fully processed at the time of its occurrence. The nervous system went into protective override, holding the experience in a state of incomplete integration. Healing involves the gradual transformation of this held experience into a processed memory. something that happened in the past, that carries appropriate emotional weight, but that no longer floods the present. Sleep, particularly quality REM sleep, is one of the primary mechanisms through which this transformation occurs. Night by night, the subconscious works at the edges of the wound, gently, patiently, returning what was held to the flow. Your subconscious, across a single night of adequate sleep, has already changed you. Not changed you dramatically, not changed you in ways that announce themselves loudly, but the you who wakes tomorrow morning is genuinely different, in subtle and meaningful ways, from the you who lay down tonight. A few emotional memories are a little softer. A few skills are a little more fluid. A few old fears are a little more manageable. A few insights are ready to surface. The work has been done. The subconscious has been tending to you. Gently, carefully, exactly as it always has. You might be feeling very tired now. That's perfectly fine. Breathe slowly. Feel the cycles. Your breathing, in and out, is one small cycle nested within the vast cycle of your life. And your sleeping mind moves through its own cycles tonight, each one completing something, each one gently beginning the next. You don't need to hold onto anything. Let everything unfold in its own order, like the tides, unhurried, unresisting, simply moving as they were made to move. Your subconscious knows exactly what to do with this night. You only need to rest. We're almost there now. The subconscious works on questions you have long since set aside. Questions that felt pressing days ago, then faded from attention, continue to be processed in the sleeping mind. The subconscious does not forget what the conscious mind releases. It holds everything, quietly, without judgment, and continues working through it. Sometimes, the answer to an old question arrives unexpectedly, days or weeks after the question was posed. The subconscious kept working while you moved on. Answers arrive, gently, in their own time. The sleeping brain is, in a deep sense, the most honest version of the brain. Waking consciousness is shaped by social expectation, the effort of self-presentation, and the quiet pressure to maintain a coherent image. The sleeping brain, freed from these constraints, processes experience more directly. What you feel during a dream is rarely performed. What you work through in the night is never for an audience. The subconscious is honest in a way the waking mind rarely has the space to be. Sleep offers the subconscious a chance to practice letting go. Falling asleep requires, at its most basic level, a release of control. The conscious mind must consent to its own softening, allowing awareness to fade, allowing the body to be still, allowing thought to drift without direction. This nightly practice of release may, in small ways, strengthen the capacity for letting go in waking life. The subconscious learns, night by night, that release is survivable, that stillness is safe, that the self does not disappear when it rests. The subconscious uses the REM state to process the emotional significance of music. Musical experiences that carried emotional weight during the day appear to be revisited during REM sleep. Researchers have found that emotionally significant musical memories show enhanced consolidation after sleep. The subconscious preserves not just the melody, but the meaning, the feeling it carried, the moment it accompanied, the internal state it evoked. Music, the sleeping mind seems to understand, is one of the most efficient carriers of emotional truth. The subconscious mind processes gratitude during sleep. Studies examining the relationship between gratitude practices and sleep quality have found benefits flowing in both directions. Gratitude tends to improve sleep, and sleep, in turn, appears to consolidate the emotional resonance of grateful experience, deepening its positive trace in memory. The subconscious tends to what felt good as carefully as it tends to what felt difficult. It preserves the moments of appreciation, of warmth, of unexpected grace. It keeps them available for the waking mind to draw upon. The subconscious processes the texture of ordinary moments while you sleep. Not only the dramatic, not only the significant, the subconscious also tends to the quiet accumulation of ordinary experience. The warmth of a familiar space, the light through a window, the sound of a voice that matters. These small moments, integrated across a lifetime of sleep, form the felt fabric of a life. What seems like the ordinary background of existence has been carefully tended by the sleeping mind all along. The subconscious uses sleep to build resilience. Psychological resilience, the capacity to meet difficulty without being overwhelmed, is not simply a fixed trait. It is partly built through the integration of difficult experiences over time. Sleep is one of the primary mechanisms through which this integration occurs. Each difficult night that ends in rest, each challenge that passes through the dreaming mind and becomes simply memory. These are quiet additions to a reservoir of steadiness that grows, slowly, across a lifetime. The subconscious processes the experience of warmth and connection, touch, closeness, the felt sense of being genuinely known. These are among the most powerful regulators of the nervous system. The sense of being at ease in the body, held gently by the world, is processed and consolidated during sleep. Those who sleep feeling safe tend to wake feeling capable. The body remembers what the mind sometimes forgets, and the subconscious holds that memory warmly through the night. The sleeping mind maintains a quiet sense of wonder. This is a subjective reflection, but one grounded in the observation that awe-inspiring experiences, encounters with beauty, vastness, or unexpected kindness show enhanced emotional consolidation during sleep. The brain seems to recognize that wonder matters. It preserves the feeling of being moved by something beyond yourself. The sleeping mind keeps this, gently, to return it to you in the morning. The subconscious uses sleep to prepare the self for growth. Every night of adequate sleep is, in a quiet way, a preparation for becoming. The integration of new experience, the processing of old pain, the rehearsal of future scenarios, the updating of identity. All of these make the waking self slightly more ready to meet the next day's possibilities. Sleep is not recovery from the effort of living. It is what makes the effort of living possible. The subconscious has been doing this work for your entire life. Every night of your existence, from the first nights of infancy, when REM sleep occupied more than half your sleeping hours, to last night, the subconscious has been quietly tending to you, working through your days, holding your memories, processing your hurts, supporting your growth. All of this without recognition, without reward, simply because it was built to care for you. That is a remarkable thing to receive. The answers you have been looking for are often closer than they appear. Research on insight and the resolution of personally meaningful questions has found that sleep consistently improves the clarity and accessibility of answers to questions the waking mind has been working to resolve. The subconscious does not always find the answer in one night, but it moves steadily in that direction. What feels held and unmoving in the evening sometimes simply flows in the morning, quietly and completely. The subconscious uses deep sleep to restore the capacity for trust. Trust in others, in the future, in the basic steadiness of the world, is a resource that can deplete under sustained stress. Sleep, by restoring the parasympathetic nervous system and recalibrating the brain's responsiveness, replenishes this resource gently. Well-rested people tend to approach the world with more openness. They are more willing to believe that tomorrow might hold something good. Rest, in this sense, is an act of quiet hope. The sleeping mind integrates what you have learned about yourself. Self-knowledge, the deepening understanding of your own patterns, values, needs, and tendencies, is not constructed only through reflection. It is also built in the silence of the sleeping mind. As experiences are integrated, emotions are processed, and the narrative of the self is updated. Each night of sleep is a quiet act of self-knowing. The subconscious tends the project of becoming yourself with devoted care. So could the subconscious solve your problems during sleep? It already has. Every night of your life, the subconscious has been doing exactly this, working on the unresolved, tending to the unhealed, answering the unasked. The problems it solves are not always the ones you named, but they are yours, and the solutions it finds are gentle and real. You wake, most mornings, having been quietly helped by a part of yourself you rarely think to thank. The deepest problems the subconscious solves are the ones about meaning, not the logistical or practical puzzles of daily life, though it tends to those as well. But the deeper questions: am I safe? Am I known? Do I belong? Does what I do matter? These questions live in the body as much as the mind, and the subconscious tends them through the night, through the integration of experience, the processing of emotion, the maintenance of connection and identity. The subconscious uses sleep to hold what is too large to hold while awake. Some experiences, grief, awe, love, loss, are too vast to be fully processed in the span of a waking day. They are held across many nights in the sleeping mind. Gradually, carefully, they are integrated. They become part of the story of who you are. The subconscious has the patience that waking life does not. It will hold what you cannot, for as long as it takes. The subconscious processes the feeling of being at peace, moments of genuine peace, of resting without anxiety, of breathing without effort, of existing without the pressure of unfinished things, are not simply neutral. They are positive, meaningful experiences that the subconscious consolidates and preserves. The more often the nervous system experiences genuine rest, the more familiar and accessible that state becomes. Peace, practiced gently and regularly, becomes something the subconscious knows how to return to. The subconscious does not require you to understand it, to benefit from it. You do not need to know the names of the brain structures involved. You do not need to remember the research. You do not need to consciously appreciate what is happening beneath your awareness. The subconscious works whether you understand it or not. What it asks of you is simpler than knowledge. Only the willingness to rest. Only this. Only now. The subconscious, across a lifetime, builds the person you are. Not alone. Not without the choices you make and the relationships you tend and the effort you bring to your waking life. But alongside all of that, night after night, quietly and faithfully, the subconscious has been integrating, building, restoring. The version of you that exists in this moment has been shaped, in ways both small and immense, by every night of sleep you have ever had. Tonight, the subconscious will work on whatever you most need. You don't need to specify. You don't need to ask. The subconscious knows. It has always known. It will find the threads that most need tending, the emotions that most need gentling, the memories that most need settling. It will work quietly and without hurry, through whatever time the night provides. All you need to do is give it the night. Rest is not the opposite of healing. Rest is how healing happens. Every tradition of medicine and care, ancient and modern, has recognized the central role of rest in recovery. The wisdom embedded in this recognition is now supported by detailed neuroscience. The healing that occurs during sleep is not metaphorical. It is cellular, neurological, hormonal, and psychological. Rest is not passive. It is the active ground from which all healing grows. The subconscious will work on tonight's questions without you having to try. Whatever you carried into this night, the worries, the hopes, the unresolved feelings, the questions without answers, you can set them down now. Not forever, just for tonight. The subconscious has them. It will tend to what it can. And in the morning, something may be different. Something may be a little lighter. The night does its work. You have always been held by your sleeping mind. From the very beginning, through every difficulty, through every night of uncertainty, the subconscious has been present, working, tending, restoring. You have never been left alone in the stillness by the deepest part of your own mind. Even on the hardest nights, beneath your awareness, the subconscious was quietly caring for you. It was always, and will always be, there. The real answer is not in the science. It is in what the science points to. The subconscious solves problems in the night. It processes pain. It consolidates joy. It integrates who you are into who you are becoming. But beneath all of these functions lies a simpler truth. You are a being that heals. You are a being that grows. And every night you spend in rest is an act of faith in that quiet, continuous, profound becoming. And so, our quiet journey through the subconscious sleeping mind comes to a gentle close. We have traveled from the brain's hidden filing systems, working through the quiet hours, to the dreaming mind, rehearsing social connection and emotional repair, to the deeper truth that every night of rest is a quiet act of becoming. From the electrical whisper of sleep spindles carrying new learning into long-term memory, to the glymphatic system, gently washing the brain clean as the interstitial spaces widen in the deep hours of the night, to the understanding that the answers we seek are often already being assembled somewhere below awareness, in the stillness we call sleep. We have glimpsed how the subconscious mind is both a faithful keeper and a wise companion, tending to everything you gave it, returning it to you softer, cleaner, more fully yours. The subconscious mind reminds us that the most meaningful work is often the work we cannot see. Much of what shapes us, the gradual softening of old pain, the slow integration of new understanding, the quiet building of resilience and trust, happens in silence, in the stillness, while we are entirely unaware of it. The sleeping mind reveals a kind of devotion, without recognition, without rest for itself. It tends to everything you have been and everything you are becoming. By pausing to understand this, we glimpse the extraordinary care embedded in the most ordinary thing we do every night. In these final minutes, take the deepest breath you can, as deep as possible. Think about the unity of consciousness, every mind resting tonight, every sleeping person being quietly tended by their own subconscious, all across the world, in every time zone, in every language, in every kind of darkness. You are not alone in this. The experience of rest, of healing, of being held by your own sleeping mind. This is shared by every human being who has ever lived. Think about consciousness itself, yours, and mine, and everyone listening, perhaps all connected in ways we don't yet understand. Let your entire being dissolve into the ocean of rest, into dreamless quiet, into the space before thought, into the warm and faithful darkness of sleep. Prepare for deep sleep. No boundaries left, only peace. If this thoughtful exploration of the sleeping mind helped you relax, find stillness, or drift closer to sleep tonight. A gentle like and subscribe helps other tired souls find their way here too. It only takes a moment, but it means the world to us. One quiet tap, one sleepy soul at a time. But there is no need to do anything now. Nothing at all. You've traveled far tonight, through the architecture of your own sleeping mind, through the science of memory and emotion and healing, through the quiet proof that something deep within you has always been caring for you. You can allow these thoughts of the subconscious to fade now, like breath dissolving into the air around you, leaving only this warmth, this quiet, this rest. Let your breathing deepen. Let your body feel heavier, as if the gentle gravity of the earth is receiving you, holding you, drawing you gradually towards sleep. If sleep comes, let it carry you, smoothly, inevitably, into the realm where time and weight no longer matter, and where the most meaningful work of your life continues, quietly, in the stillness. If your eyes are still open, the next video is waiting for you, ready to continue the journey. But if they are closed, stay there. Stay in the darkness that feels safe and warm. Tomorrow, your subconscious will still be at work. The healing will still be continuing. But tonight belongs to stillness. Rest well, dear sleepy soul. And remember, your sleeping mind has always known exactly how to take care of you. You were never alone in the stillness. Good night.